Morning. Here we are. January 1st, 2025. I'm Larissa. This is my fat girl diary. The time has come to drink some skulls. Oh, so last night or early this morning, I did my, reading. Oh my God. It's a hell of a read this year. Oh my. You have to, watch it to see though. Like it's pretty heavy, and I think it's pretty accurate. And it's nice for a little bit of perspective moving forward. Um, so if you're interested in watching it, in the description below, there will be a link to the post on my blog, Critical Thought, and a link to the page on my website where you can purchase a subscription plan in order to be able to watch it on my blog. So on my blog, Critical Thought, it's on my website, oneofgallerystudio.com. Some of the content is free to the public, and some of it can only be accessed if you have a subscription plan. So my New Year's Eve reading is among those things that you need to have a subscription plan to watch. And starting in February, I think I'm going to be going back to doing my diary as a subscription plan video on my blog as well. I'm not sure that I'm going to do a daily diary anymore starting in February. And through the end of January, I'm going to continue and just see things how things go as I'm setting up for the new year here. But I think it's going to be something that you need to pay for. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you value my content, I know I'm not some hard hitting, reporter going out on location in war zones or anything. But there is value to commentary, perspective, and experience that I have. And if you enjoy that content, then, I need to be compensated because YouTube does not compensate me. They never have. As a matter of fact, they have prevented me from receiving compensation from my work since the beginning of YouTube. I've had this YouTube account since pretty much like the first year YouTube existed, right? So this is like back in the 2010s, a little earlier. Might have been like 2009, something like that. 2010, something like that. 2009. Might be 2008 even. We were up in Santa Rosa. Yeah. Yeah. And that YouTube has prevented me from being able to monetize my work. So, and I've had a lot of intellectual property stolen from this platform. And this platform has also been rate limited. So like my stuff doesn't come up in people's searches and things, and it's been done on purpose. Like I don't believe that it's random, particularly since a lot of my content I've seen show up in other people's work. So anyway, I do what I got to do, right? Do what I got to do. Yesterday I got all of our Christmas stuff taken down at the house. Yay. I mean, I know Orthodox Christmas hasn't even gotten here yet. Orthodox Christmas is what? On the 6th? 5th or 6th, coming up here in a few days, right? But, geez, none of that part of my family even talks to me. So why should I worry about it? Why should I worry about it? I used to send a little Christmas card to my Aunt Helen. I haven't heard from her in years. Last time I saw her was at the funeral where I was later on assaulted by my family, and now everybody just like pretends like I don't exist. The shunning of the bitch. Yeah. Yeah. So I used to send her she's my grandma Rosie's youngest sister. I used to send her a little Christmas card. for little Christmas. Oh, that's what we always called hunky Christmas. Yeah, hunky Christmas. Christmas and Nanny Glow. Yeah. So I don't bother anymore. I don't bother anymore. You know, those people don't know me. Oh, it was always, so my mother's family and my father's family both come from ethnic groups that did not like each other in the Pittsburgh area. And even each of my grandparents or each of my parents, like their my grandparents' families, right, weren't particularly fond of each other, ethnic group wise, right? So my mom's family, um, they were hillbillies. They were hillbillies, and we suspect that great grandma was also with mixed, mixed with less than human. Yeah, um, but her family was from Appalachia, and my pappy's family was Italian from Italy. They did not like each other. Like um, well, my great grandfather stood up for my grandfather, and so he could get a job at the railroad because um, railroad didn't hire my pappy's kind, right? And my great grandfather worked. My mom's father worked for the railroad, and went down and said, "That's not." Yeah, he said he's not just any dago. He's my son-in-law, right? So that's how he got a job down there. But then my dad's family, both sides are Eastern European, and they're from groups that don't like each other. And they settled in the group settled in similar area, you know, in outside of Pittsburgh, north of Pittsburgh, in mining country because that's what they knew how to do. And they didn't like each other. It was like, right? So like when I was born, none of the Eastern European side liked the Italian, Scotch Irish side, and vice versa. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, they all hated each other. And so it was always like, well, which side's your favorite, Larissa? Right? You always like had to pick. It's like I never had favorites. Never had favorites. And because it was dangerous to say anything. And it was also confusing as a child because it's like, well, I'm all of it, right? I'm not just one. Yeah, so I'm just really glad to not have children to push into that mix because the arrogance that comes from, that was born of that. It's like, oh, when you were with one side of the family, like we're the best part of the family, and we were with another part of the family, oh, we're the best part of the family. The other ones are stupid, It was just like, mm. Yeah, and so most of my dad's family doesn't even know me, right? Most of my dad's family doesn't even know me. And this whole shunning thing, this bullshit with my siblings and my parents, this is just my family, my mother and father doing exactly what they used to complain about their parents doing when I was a kid. Oh, my mom used to cry all the time about, oh, your father's mother has favorites and she abuses your dad, and your dad always had to work harder than the others. Well, they did the same thing to me, right? My sisters got whatever the fuck they wanted, and I had to work a bunch of jobs and all this shit. So it's just the exact same thing. So everything that my mom in particular used to complain about my father's family, they now do to me, right? So I just, I live thousands of miles away, and this year it was liberating. I didn't bother sending Christmas cards to the majority of people that I've sent Christmas cards to over the years. And and never hear anything back, or when I do hear things back from them, it's some sort of weird, arrogant, shitty thing. I haven't had my youngest sister's address. I don't even know where the fuck she lives. And I don't know what her last name is anymore. You know, like, I don't even care. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's the story with my family. They all hate each other. They all hate each other. They all think they're better than each other. They all think they're smarter than each other. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And my mom's family, particularly her brother and his, like, they all hate my father's family. Hate them. Hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them. Right? It's just, and they have no room to talk about anything. You know? None of them do. So, I've never held any one of them up on a pedestal. Um, and they certainly expected that, right? Family members certainly expected that. It's like I just found out my Uncle Phil died. My dad's father's youngest brother, Philip, died on October 23rd of this year. Now, my Uncle Phil and Aunt Irene, they never had kids. And I used to write to my Aunt Irene all the time. I used to get Christmas cards from her. I used to get I got birthday cards from her growing up until I was like 21. She used to send me a $5 bill on my birthday every year, right? And I always wrote back to her, and so, like, I didn't know them in that, like, I've never been to their house or anything. They lived in Ohio. Um, but I was close to them in that I had contact with them all the time. They couldn't even be bothered letting me know that my Uncle Phil died. I would not have gone back, not because I wouldn't want to be there for my Uncle Phil, but because I don't want to be around my family. But you think that they could at least fucking let me know that someone died, right? And because I was having dreams, and I kept on asking Omar, "Oh, you think they'd tell me if my dad died?" Like, I've been asking Omar that for like months now. Now I know why, because I have dreams and stuff when people in my family die. I should have known. I should have known. I should have known. You know. So, like, how do I find out when people in my family die? I do obituary searches every couple months for our family's last names. That's how I find out when people die, right? I do obituary searches because that is how fucked up and shitty my family is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they didn't give a shit. Like, any of the times that I almost died or whatever, they didn't give a shit about that either. Like, after my grandparents died, the only thing that kept anybody in my family treating me with any kind of dignity or respect or kindness was the fact that I had grandparents still alive, right? And my grandparents, it would have upset my grandparents for anybody to treat me badly because I was the first, my mom's side, I was the first granddaughter on, which is a big deal in Italian families. And on my father's side, I was the first grandchild, right? So either set of grandparents would have been angry if I were mistreated, right? And this was part of the reason my grandparents were really angry, in particular my father's parents were very, very angry when we moved away from Pittsburgh, just to go out to Philadelphia, right? Like, they were pissed off because my grandmother had been extremely depressed for a long time. And when I was born, that made her happy, right? She had a reason to live again, right? And so when we were little, when I was real little, and we moved out to the Philly area, my grandparents, particularly my dad's parents, were really shitty. And that's when things really turned bad between them and my mom, because then my grandmother really went after my mother. You know, everything was my mother's fault. Similarly, the way my mother-in-law is, you know, my junky mother-in-law. Um, everything was always my fault, or is always my fault. Larissa ruins everything, right? And not her being a junkie, not her being an alcoholic, not her shitting on herself at my table. None of those things ruin anything. It's Larissa. Larissa ruins everything. So, yeah. Like, I've never lived in a family where people got along with each other. And, um, everything had to look really perfect from the outside kind of thing. It was never perfect enough. And, you know, grew up with a story that, well, so my parents had been together since the 8th grade. And they got married really young. Like my mom was like, she was under 21, or she was like 19 and my dad was 20, or she was 20 and he was 21, something like that. Like my parents were really young. They got married. And oh, they almost got divorced. They almost didn't get married. My dad tried to back out of it. And then they almost got divorced because my dad didn't want to stay married, right? My dad was went to, he was going to college at Indiana University, and had been away at school and was dating another girl and everything. And he came back because he promised my mom he was going to marry her, blah, 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 blah. Both sets of grandparents were like, you promised you were going to marry her, blah, 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 blah. Got the priest involved and they got married, right? And then when he wanted to leave after that, the priest was like, oh, well, you got to have a baby. If you have a baby, it'll save your marriage. So they had me and they held it against me for the rest of my fucking life, right? Right? I mean, it's so convoluted. It's so fucking convoluted. None of them liked each other. It's just like, oh my God. Oh my God. So, anyway, yeah, yeah. Oh, I got a bunch of new hair products, and oh my gosh, like, really did a good job of moisturizing my hair and like repairing my ends. Jeez, first time my hair kind of like looks like hair, healthy hair, in a long time. The water here's so bad. Yeah, so I got a bunch of different things. I got 2 different conditioners, and neither of them can I open the pump on them? No, I can't get the pump open. So it's like I have to unscrew the top, and there's these big chunky bottles, and I gotta squeeze it into my hand, and it's awkward. Um, but Omar said maybe he can fix it. Maybe he can fix those, get those pumps to work. But they're both castor oil, and they're different brands. The first one that I got, it works not okay. The second one that I got is the one that my hair like sucked it up, right? Really sucked it up. It had a different texture too. Um, and it has castor oil and basil. So I don't know if it has something to do with the tulsi that is making my hair accept the moisture, accept the conditioning. But I also got a product from Palmer's Cocoa Butter. It's an olive oil scalp salve. Um, and it's supposed to help with breakage. So my hair, like I have a lot of hair. I do. I have thick hair. But my hair's very fine. It's very, 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 very fine. And it breaks so easy, you know? So all of these products that I got are supposed to help with breakage, stopping it from breaking. And the water here is so hard, it just makes my hair so brittle. But it almost looks greasy. Almost. Super soft. Yeah. Ugh. My family at the holidays. My Uncle Phil, I can't believe, right? Like, so, I can't believe, no, I can't. I can believe it because they just, oh, you blocked my phone number. Well, you could send me an email. I haven't blocked anybody's email. You could send me an email. I blocked phone numbers so that I can't call you. That was for me, right? You can send me an email. Then we have everything that's said in writing. There's a record of it, and nobody can fight and say, "Oh, you said this to me. You said that to me. You said this to me. I tell you, don't you remember? Don't you remember all the crazy things you said to me? Blah blah blah. You're crazy. You need help." It's like, okay, let's have it all in writing then. Everything in writing. Nope, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that because then they'd have to be accountable for what they say to me. Yeah. That is how fucked up my family is. Right? It really is. They're that petty. They are that petty and that shitty and that mean to each other. Yeah. I mean, the shit that I grew up hearing them say about each other back and forth. And that was why we quit talking to my father's family to begin with. I tried to play peacemaker because when I would be at my grandmother's house, she'd be talking shit about my mother. When I'd be at my other grandmother's house, she'd be talking shit about my other grandmother. When I'd be at my house, my mom would be talking shit about my dad's mother. Like it was just, and my dad's sister, and then my dad's sister did the same shit. Like wherever I'd be, you know, I was supposed to have allegiance to whoever I was with as the child. And if I called anyone out on their behavior, you know, like, well, why are you doing this about, like I said something and finally said something to my grandmother. I said, why do you hate my mother so much? That's what I said to her. I was like 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old. And she started screaming. She's like, get the hell out of my house. Get out of my house. She's like, look at that. She's turned her against me. That's what she was screaming about my mother. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'd never, I was blown away. I'm like, what? And my mom, she acted all supportive of me at that time, but she wasn't supportive of me. I was a pawn, right? She used what happened then to fight with my father, right? And then I was treated like shit after that, right? Like after that was when she decided she was going to start dragging me around to psychiatrists and telling them that I was such a problem. I'm like, I'm not the one with the problem here, right? I was watching all these adults around me act like idiots and scream at each other. I'm like, I'm not the one with the problem. She spent a week or whatever in a loony bin and was hell bent on making sure that people thought I was crazy because she couldn't be the only crazy woman in the family, right? Like it was so fucked up, so fucked up, so fucked up, right? And then like when I went to college, my mom had to be going to college too, right? It was so I'm just, so glad not to have children into this stupid fucking system. And, if Omar had family that was worth anything, and I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about had healthy relationship of any kind with anyone, it might be okay, but he doesn't. He doesn't have any fucking family, right? His mother's family disowned her, and she's a crazy bitch. And his father's family, we don't speak to. We don't know them. We don't know them because his father ran away from them and didn't go back for whatever fucking reason, whether it was because he was skipping his military duty in Egypt or what it fucking was, right? Because he married a divorced woman, because he didn't raise his son Muslim. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Because he didn't have any contact with his family that worked for the Saudis. I don't know, right? But we don't know any of those people, and I wouldn't trust to get to know any of those people, right? Because his father gave us a warning. He said, "Don't you ever go to Egypt without me." Or there's this guy who he came to the North America with, Gaudet. There were two other guys that he came to the United States with, or not the United States, to Canada with when they left Egypt. They were friends of his, and one guy lives. He's a professor down in Texas, at University of Austin, I think it is. Whatever the school is where Ian Hancock teaches, that's where this guy teaches too. Anyway, I met him. One time when we went down there. He's like, "Don't ever go to Egypt without me or without Gaudet." And I said, "Why?" He says, "Because neither of you speak Arabic and they will take advantage of you." That's what his father said to me. Yep. He said, "I don't trust my family. They will take advantage of you." Yeah. So the fact that his father said that to me, I'm not interested in going over there or knowing them. So it's good that we don't have children to add to that. Right? Right? I don't know, if I were married to a man that had a nice family, I'd be open to having family, but I don't feel that way about Omar anymore. I'm grateful every day that I am child-free, married to him. Mm. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's the last thing I need. I would need is someone spray painting "Sunni twat" out the side, outside the window of a baby's room, like they did to us in Oakland. The Shia, not even a fucking Muslim. Ugh. Yeah. Yep. 2025. So today, today is Eat Leftovers Day and Be Lazy Day. Um, I think I told Omar I wanted to smudge the property. So I think I'll probably do that. I'm gonna smudge the property. And who knows? Maybe I'll go over to the gallery and putz around over there some. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta get my card reading video uploaded to the blog and get all of these links and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, showered last night before I did my card reading. So all I need to do is PTA it. I don't know. The new conditioner has a really strong smell. I'm not sure. We'll see how I deal with that because I'm not usually. I don't wear things with strong smells. I don't use scented things. This definitely has a scent. So we'll see if it makes my skin break out and shut. Whatever. First world problems, right? First world problems. Get up and make some scrambled eggs.